Welcome to part 2. So we're literally just going to jump in right away with our very first checklist. So basically this is just the content, right? Like what content do you want to put on your website? So this first step here talks about exactly where to go find that. So if you go to website and then site content, you'll see exactly where to change and edit these things. So do you just want a banner on your site with special information on it? For example, what you're doing about COVID-19? Are you actually ready to do e-commerce today? And if so, what do you want to sell? And again, you don't have to decide to sell everything, but think about what people want, right now in this particular moment, and start with that. Do you want to start with an About You section? Is there any point in putting your address? Do you have testimonials on there? Do you actually want a store, or do you just want to sell a gift certificate or 1 or 2 products, right? Those are some things that you need to decide. So I'm just going to pop up here into Ecwid. So I've already signed up for an account. It's really quite simple to do. So if you just go to ecwid.com, you just have to click here to get started for free. You don't have to enter any of your stuff in, and you can just sign up. Oh, you can't see because, anyways, yeah, you just enter in your name and your email address and you'll get started. And it'll take you through a really basic and a really quick 4-step setup process that just asks you for really, really basic things. Okay, so I'm going to close one of these down, go back here. So that's basically your first section. That's it. Just put a check mark beside what you want to do today. Like, what do you want to do today? Or at least in the next couple of days. So the next section, let's look at look and feel. So we're going to start with picking a theme. And to do that, we're going to go to website and site appearance. So we're going to go up here, website and site appearance, and we are going to click edit. So we've already done the first thing on this checklist. Yay. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're basically going to design the top area for the website as well as the overall look of it. So we're going to go to site content and then headline and cover image. So I've clicked on this and it opened up a new tab that brought me here. So this is the default theme that they give you with all of these products and all of this information here. So what you can do is you can click up here and you can pick any one of these other themes. So you can literally any one of them. I'm going to stick with this basic one and just show you guys how you can customize it because it's really the simplest thing to do in the world. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this headline and cover image area here. So in the headline, right now it's called the store. You can call this anything you want. I'm going to call it Susanna's store or Susanna's awesome store. And then you can put any description in here that you want. You can even take it out if you feel like it's not necessary and you don't know what to say. I find that I'm distracted by that, so there. Yeah, you can totally take that out, but you can also, just put your hours in. You can put how delivery is working. You could, anything that you want. I am the best store in the world. Oh, but you wouldn't want to put an emoticon in there because that's lame. Okay, and then from there, you can just focus on the cover layout. So right now we have, a really big picture with a little bit of text and a shop now button that just, takes people to all of the products that are for sale. But you can set it up so that it looks like this, looks like that, is a half screen, is a half screen with text below and has like a very serious top menu and like no text at all. I think this is kind of boring, but totally understand if this is where you want to go. So I'm going to stick with this one here just because I find this really big and I think it's unnecessary. So I'm just going to stick with that one. And then we can scroll down here and as you can see, you can replace this image with any image. So they have a gallery with tons of images. You could pick literally any one of these. I'm going to pick, I don't know which one I'm going to pick. So many options, I can't decide. Let's go with this one because flowers are pretty. Or you can upload images. So for those of you who can't find, and if you don't have any photographs of your business, or if you can't find any in the gallery, great place to get photos is Pexels. A lot of people use Unsplash as well, but I like Pexels because it allows you to do this. You can do a free download, and then you could select the image size as 1920 by 1279. And the reason I suggest you do that is because this image, the width of an image on a website is usually 1920. That's the width of every computer screen. It's very confusing, but that is just the size to go with. So that is a really great place to do that. And you can customize the overlay. So I'm just using a black one here because, as you can see, having a slight overlay makes the image look great, but it also makes the text more readable. But you can have fun and go with something that might be, a little bit more you. I'm going to stick with that one because I like it. You can make the opacity less or more. And you could even change this to just be a color if you wanted. You could have it be a gradient. That's it. You could even upload a video if you wanted, if you have a really cool one. Just put in a YouTube video. So I'm going to click play. I'm going to click save and leave it as is. So let's go back. All down there. So now as you scroll lower, you can do things like change the Shop Now button. You could get rid of it if you wanted. If you only have one product, you can get rid of this, and even the scroll arrow if you want, so that that arrow doesn't show up there. You can, but I'm going to leave it there for now. Change the text, but you can also change the typography a bit. I don't know what your font is, but if you have a business font, you can pick any one of these. I'm going to pick Merriweather because I like that font. It's a good font. Oh, no, I wasn't thinking Merriweather. I don't like that font. I like Montserrat. You can change the color of it. You can move the headline to under the description. A lot of times people have, there's a good reason to put a little bit of text under the store name. I know that when I've done a few sites on Weebly, and this isn't something you can do. So it's kind of cool that this is here. You can change the font size if you want. And you can change your main font. Every business should have, a headline font, a decorative font, and a body text font. So you should know what yours are. You can change the color of it if you wanted. I say just keep it black, honestly, to keep it simple. You can change the button stuff. Again, keep it simple. Get started right away. You can add your logo. You should add your logo, and it will add it in the top. And if you want, so this is all of the stuff for up here. So you can get rid of your phone number if you want to do not show. You could decide not to show social media links, or you can. We haven't added any, but I'll put them in here for now. When we do add them, you'll see them. You can decide to hide your location if you want, or hide your store hours. And if you end up having a navigation you can put that in there. But the whole point of today is to, set something up quickly and just do one page. And then a nice shopping cart icon, which I think is a really good thing to include. And I do think that store hours is handy, especially if your hours aren't regular, or if, like right now, we're in this whole COVID-19 situation and people are going to be interested in what your store hours are. There usually aren't any right now for most people, but depending on if you're an essential service, you might have some, or if you are in pet services, sometimes you're allowed to be open for a certain number of hours a day, or at least open for pickup. So we're going to leave it like that. I'm going to press save. And now we're going to go back to my checklist here to see if we've missed anything. Okay, so we've basically done all of that. We've decided on the text, we've decided on the cover layout, we know how to replace the image, you know how to replace the fonts and add your store logo. And what I did not show you is how to enable or disable content. So let's go back to site content here. So back under website and site content. And you could choose, so if in the first checklist you decided that you don't want the About You area, you don't think there's any reason to have an address, and maybe it'll take a week or two to get testimonials done, right? Because it can take a little while to get those things from people. You can go here. I'm going to close down some of these just because it's a bit confusing having so many open. You can go to this section here again. So just to remind you guys, we were under all sales channel, website, and then site content. That takes us here. So you can click on this. You can, if you wanted to disable the store, kind of defeats the purpose, but you can temporarily if you just want to put your opening hours up here, or you want to, if you just want to put your opening hours up here or tell people what you're doing during like a particular situation. You can change your company mission or get rid of it this way. You can, company missions often take a long time, so I'm just going to take that out. Customer testimonials could take a while to do. An about section could be handy because you could decide that up here you're just going to have your store name, and then down here you'll tell people a bit more about what you're doing. Location could be handy, and contact information is always a good thing. So we're going to click save. Go back to the control panel, and if you click on this here, this will take you to what your site looks like. It looks like I didn't save my picture, so let's try that again. So the headline and cover image, I'm going to switch this picture out. I'm glad that happened because you know what? Stuff happens, And I'll just put this one in just for speed's sake. Press save. And then it looks like that font color changed. So let's go back, scroll down, topography, and let's just see right there. See, just make it white. There we go. Okay, so let us close that down, scroll back up, click the back button, and go back to our dashboard. Kind of opens a lot of windows, so just keep in mind that that keeps happening and be really careful about closing things down so that you don't have a million windows open. Because if you do, what's going to end up happening is that if you have two things opened up, what will end up happening is, something will be saved in one place and not in another, and you'll end up going to your site going, but I changed that. But because the last window that you worked on may not have been aware of that change, you will have lost it. So just make sure you close down your windows as you go. Okay, so let's go to the next checklist. Okay, so we have done this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up some products. So, this should not say gift card, it should say products. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our dashboard. We're going to go to our catalog, go to products. And what we have here is all of the products that they already have available on the site. So you can choose to disable them all if you want. You can click a whole bunch of them and just do a bulk edit and disable them. You can totally delete them. But what I want to show you guys how to do is I want to show you guys how to add a new product. You basically just go here. We're just going to add a regular product. I'm going to upload an image. Just upload this image. This is a fun one, so let's do that. We're going to give it a name. We're going to call it breakfast cereal. You can give it a SKU or not. It's up to you. Definitely add a description. Best cereal ever. I'm going to give it a price, $10, and just click save so that we have it. But you also have to go through these things. Attribute, I don't think this is important. You might want to add a brand to this. I don't even know if that's how you spell Kellogg's, but let's do it. Options, so for example, you could have different sizes, so small, big box, you can say size, and then have big box, and little box. Right, so that almost changes the price. So your big box could be $10 and your little box could be $5. And I think radio buttons is good for that, but you can, decide what makes sense for you. Press save. And files is not an option if you're with the free plan. If you're with the free plan, if you pay for I think it's $15, that's their next plan up, you can sell digital products like a PDF. Tax and shipping. So this is interesting. We're not going to talk about this right now, and we're not going to talk about this right now. We're not going to talk about this either. They do this automatically, and I don't think that's important unless you have thousands of buttons. And I wanted to show you this one because what you might want to do is you might want to add quantity as an option so that people can get more than one box. So you have to do that by going to the Buy Now button and clicking that. So as you can see here, people can switch this out and buy either the big box or the little box. And I am going, so I don't have to click save because apparently I've done that. So let's just go look at what your site looks like. So we're going to go on to dashboard. We're going to go up to here. And click on breakfast cereal, and you can get the big box or the little box and just add it to the bag. Go to checkout and you will see it in here. We have not added any payment information, so at this point you're not going to see any address stuff in here. So let's go back to our checklist, just so that I can give you guys some interesting, or make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so just a tip when you're uploading an image, your images can be any size. The only thing that you'll need to do is to make sure they're all the same shape. And the reason for that is because when people go to your store, you're going to want to make sure that all of these images have the exact same shape to them. I'll show you in a few slides how you can change these to a different shape. They can be wider, they can be taller. You can decide, but you probably want all of your images to be the same shape just so that it looks a little bit neater. And yeah, we have set all of that up. So the next thing I want to show you guys is how to set up gift cards. So very similar process. We're going to go to catalog, select gift cards, and then you'll need to set up your dollar amounts. And let me just show you. That's the easier way to do it. Go to products again. And I already added a gift card here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete it just because I want it to be brand new for you guys so you can see the whole thing. Oh, that's not where I wanted to go. I wanted to go here, leave this page, gift card, create a gift card, and we can call the gift card anything we want just by clicking on the change of the settings. You can have a $50, you can have any dollar amounts that you want, $50, $100, $2. You can add more, you can take them away. You could change this to your store names gift card. Definitely want to put something in the description area about, leave this here, obviously, this is really great, but just also how long you'll be able to use this. And you can use this image, but you can also create your own image. You could go to canva.com and design an image and then just upload it into here. The only thing you'll want to make sure is that, again, you pick an image that is the same shape. So a square or is wide or is, tall, just so that it is consistent with the rest of your website. So I am going to enable this and click save. And let's go to our store and see if we can see it in here. Oh, it is not in here for some reason. Let's see what happens. Let's see if that's saved. Let's see what happened. It's enabled, should be showing up in the store. And okay, sorry, I had to pause that for a second because it wasn't showing up. So just note to you is that just refresh a couple of times, maybe log back out and log back in order to see it in here. So basically you would click on it, it'd be taken here, and they could select any option here that they wanted to select. And like you saw on the previous screen, you could actually add more to it. So just a note, for those of you who are watching this, I didn't realize this actually, but normally gift cards are not part of the free plan, but because of, the COVID-19 situation, what they're doing at this moment is they're giving it to people for free as part of the free plan, and no commissions will be charged on them until, the end of 2020, which I think is super, super decent and amazing of them. Okay, so that is that. Now let's move on to what we need to look at is, I wanted to show you guys setting up expiry dates for them, because that might be important. So if you scroll down here, you could change the expiry to anything you want, almost anything you want. So 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. I sort of feel like, 12 months is pretty good, and set it to save. And there's tons of information in here about how to redeem your gift cards over time. So if this is something that you want, definitely check that out. But in order to get live, literally just like you can start right now. So the next checklist is setting up the look and feel of your store. We kind of looked at your website, but let's just take it a little bit further and talk about that thumbnail size that we were talking about a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to website and site appearance, and that would be here, and click on edit. And what we're going to do from there is go down to store right here. And there's a whole bunch of options in here. So for example, these images could be small, or they could be even bigger. And And you remember what I was telling you guys about how the shape of the image being consistent? So you could set it up so that they're all tall, so like tall and skinny, short-ish, square, wide, and then really, really wide, right? So you can just set it up any way you want. You can decide how you want to organize this text. Personally, I kind of like centered, so I would just leave it. And you could put a border around it if you like that style. But honestly, it all looks totally fine to me. And I feel like you could easily get going with this without having to worry about that. But, you know, if you really wanted to set a distinction between, you know, the text and the picture, that's totally fine. These are all things that we'll talk about later. I don't really think they're important for getting started, which is why I am skipping over them. We're going to go back to the dashboard. And again, remember, I'm going to close all of these windows here so that we don't end up getting confused. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to set up payment. So what we're going to do is go back to our dashboard, go down to payment here, set it up. So right now you probably aren't going to be accepting cash. In future, that might be useful. You could have Square. You can connect Square to this, which is handy if you already have an account with them. I do not, so I can't show you that as an example. You can connect Stripe, and it's so insanely easy to do this. You literally just log into your Stripe account and it like connects it. So just so if you're curious, that is RoboForm. It's what I use to remember all of my passwords. And here it's set up. Like, isn't that insane? And the same with PayPal. Actually, PayPal's even easier. It just knows my email address. But if I want, I can change it as well. Isn't that crazy? That is so crazy. And if you have a merchant account, you can probably figure out how to set that up as well. Probably not as hard as it is with a lot of other systems, because honestly, setting this up was about 100 times easier than anything I've ever set up on e-commerce ever before. So that's pretty much, that's it. That's it for the whole payment part. Okay, so right now we're going to talk a little bit about shipping, because shipping is a big deal right now, right? Like, this is especially, well, e-commerce shipping is kind of a big deal all of the time, but right now everything kind of has to be shipped out. So I'm giving you guys two options here. Option one is basically you have the option to do in-store pickup. So for example, you can have your store closed all day, but you know, from a certain time of day, from like 9 till 12 in the morning, for example, you could have pickups available. And then, you know what, this could work really well after COVID-19 as well. People can order online, pick it up on their way home or on their way into work. Free shipping can be set up. I'll show you guys a little bit about how to set up zones. But unless you're not going to be, if you're not selling to anyone outside of the city, this becomes less of an issue. And you can also connect it with Canada Post. And the other option too, I'm going to show you this one as well. Basically, you go to catalog and products, go to tax and shipping, which I know doesn't make sense, and then you select your shipping rates. And when you do that, you'll basically have two options. So let me just take you over to the dashboard and shipping and pickup, just so that you guys can see this section. Okay, so you can, this is easy enough. You can do in-store pickup, put your information in here. If there's a charge, probably isn't, but you know, there might be. That is that. If you want to do shipping and delivery, you can do Canada Post. You can set up Canada Post. You can do local delivery, so you can have free shipping, flat rate shipping, and you can also do custom rates. So the thing with all of these is that you still need to set a shipping region, right? And the shipping region is kind of the complicated part. Let me just show you this section so that you understand what I'm talking about. So in Hamilton, if you only want to be able to deliver to Hamilton, you have to enter every single Hamilton postal code into this area. So I was setting this up on a Saturday. I'm recording this on a Sunday. I cannot call Canada Post to get this information, but basically you'd have to call them to see if they can give you symbols that might help you figure out what all of the postal codes are. So I know with Hamilton, a lot of the postal codes are L8V, L9V, L5V, and just basically figure that part out. So the other solution that I wanted to show you guys is basically setting it up per product. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to do this per product. But the simplest solution might be to just charge like an extra $5 or $10 for delivery, because even if you're delivering in the city, you are going to have to, you should be charging for your time. So just add it into the cost. And if someone from outside of the city buys it, just send them a friendly email and give them a refund, or decide that, hey man, it's worth it, and just pay for the upgraded account so that you can, set up local pricing and delivery prices based on postal code a little bit more easily. So, okay, let's do it per product just so that you can see how that is. We're going to go to products and we're going to let's click on this one here. And you're going to go to tax and shipping. So you can use global rates, and global rates is what you set up in here. You can add your weight and dimensions, which will help if you're working with Canada Posts. You could have a specific method, again, only available for paid. You could have a fixed rate per item. So for example, you charge, $5 for everything, or you can just do free shipping. And like I said, just include the cost of shipping into the price. So, raise this to $59.95, because really the reality is that people would almost rather have free shipping and just pay a little bit extra for a product. So those are my shipping solutions for you guys. There's not a perfect solution if you want to stick with the free account, but there are options available for you there. And if you upgrade up to the next level, you get a lot of benefits anyway. So for a few months, it might be worth it. So the next thing that we haven't talked about is, so let's go back to our dashboard. We have not talked about your domain name. So right now, as you guys saw, this is the address for this store. It is my name, company.site. So you can change that to anything you want. Just click on website settings. Go to dashboard website, and then, sorry, I forgot where to go for that. And go down to, where is it here? Oh, here it is, edit site. And then just click on this right here, address settings. I'm going to close these because remember, we're supposed to be closing stuff. And you can change this to anything you want. So you could change it to your fancy store name. Save. And that will be your new store name on Ecwid. If you want to give this for it to actually be your fancy store name .com or .ca, though I'm not sure if they do CAs, but they probably do. Then in that case, you would need to, same situation, go over to the dashboard website, edit site, I'm going to close this again, click on this again, and you will have to upgrade your store again. And you'll have to upgrade your account so that it can be whatever domain name that you want it to be. That is that. So let's go back here. And the next thing is I want to make sure that your I's and T's are crossed. So let's do some basic bookkeeping. So not bookkeeping, basic housekeeping. And we're going to make sure that you have a terms and condition and a privacy policy page set up. We're going to make sure your contact info is correct and your social media channels are on your website. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to your dashboard again. And we didn't really need to go click that again, but we're going to go down to settings and general. And there is actually quite a lot to do in here. You can put your store name in here, put your company name, your email address, your store address, all of your social media accounts. If you want to close this for maintenance, you can totally do that. And you can set up your regional settings. For example, if you are a Canadian company, but you sell most of your stuff in the States, then you could set that up. You can set up your cart and your checkout area as well. There's a bunch of things that you can do, like you can hide out of stock products if you update your store all the time. But honestly, to get started, like seriously, just get started. Just put stuff up there and then figure these things out. This is what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you your legal page. When you first come in here, all of this will be disabled. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to click on enable to both of these, click on edit, and then just do a search for terms and conditions for an e-commerce store. You can get a ton of free templates that you can edit quite easily and make them your own. And if you decide to have a return policy, you can include that. You can have shipping and payment info as well. Just click save. And that is it. So basically what we've done in that step is we've added your terms and condition and privacy policy, and we've added your social media accounts to your site. So let's just go back, and I'm just going to add one social media account. So oops. I'm going to put mine in here. And we are going to click save. So let's go back to the dashboard and go up here. And ta-da. So now we have my address in here as well. And when people try to purchase your product, they're also going to see a little symbol for selecting the terms and conditions, but there's also links down here as well. It's empty now because we don't have anything on it, but you catch my drift. Once you put text in there, you will have stuff in there, which will be awesome. Okay, next step. Taxes. This is such a fun part, isn't it? Don't you just love taxes? So we're going to set up your payment options. We're going to your dashboard settings again, and we're going to select taxes. Option 1 is the easiest. Just upgrade, and taxes will be done for you automatically. You don't need to worry about it, which is awesome. And if you want to set it up manually, this is how you do it. So part 1. We're going to begin by going to that scary zone section again under shipping and pickup. We're going to click zones and go back here. I'll tell you what to do next. So once we're in there, we're going to click add new zone. We're going to type in Ontario and basically go through the exact same process for every other province. So here's what we're going to do. Add new zone. I'm going to type in Ontario up here. And then on this hand, right over here, I'm going to go to Add State, and I'm going to click on Ontario. and I'm going to press save. And that is basically step one, unless you want to add all of the other provinces in here as well. In the States, we don't need to add taxes, so that's no big deal, and the same thing with Europe. And you think Canada will probably work. You probably won't have to do this if you go through a paid account, and you'll just be able to use Canada. So after we have done that, is we go back to settings, and we can click on taxes. And from here, you can upgrade, and you can click on manage tax rate. So this isn't supposed to be here. So what I'm going to do is delete that. That was me setting up before. So we're going to click on add new tax. We're going to type in Ontario. And then we want it to be on the subtotal. Zone is defined by shipping address. Billing address probably makes more sense. And we're going to specify our zone rates, and we are going to select Ontario and add 13% into here. I don't know if we're supposed to add the 0 at the end, but I guess, why not? I figure we should be safe. And we're just going to click save. So now I want to go back to the store so that you can see that in action. So here we are on your store. I'm going to click on this product here. I'm going to add this to the bag, this one product. So just so you know, adding these things into WordPress and stuff is such a pain in the butt. So handy to have it just set up here. And then we're going to go into the bag shopping cart here. We're going to do that. I'm going to enter my email because I'm the best customer in the world. And we are going to click on checkout. So checkout is paying with credit card, and PayPal checkout is paying with PayPal. So you go to checkout, and you have to put your address in here, and then of course your street name. My address in here. I hope none of you saw that. And then I'm just going to put 25 Woodbine. Old address. And, it's not going to work because of anyways. But anyways, it does have the Ontario tax added to this in here. What you'll notice is that when people buy gift cards, the tax is not added, which is really great. But I'm not going to go through this whole process because I'm not going to pay for something that, isn't going to be delivered to me. So I'm going to close that window and make sure that we haven't missed anything. So yeah, basically you have to go through that exact same process for all of the other provinces as well. The next thing that you are going to need to know is how to add this to your other site. If you happen to have a website or a blog on WordPress, or you're using Squarespace or Shopify or whatever, or not Shopify, this would be kind of silly to put on Shopify, but if you're, Weebly or one of those other options, basically what you're going to do is we're going to go down to all sales channels here, and we're going to click on website. We're going to scroll down, and we're going to add your store to other sites. And you can pick any. If you pick WordPress, you can get the WordPress plugin, and you can just add it to your WordPress site that way. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to click the back button up here. You can add it to your Weebly store, for example. There's an app for Weebly. And Squarespace just has some code that you can copy into the store, into your Squarespace store directly, which is amazing. And yeah, basically that's it. You grab what you need to grab from in here, and then you go to your other site and you install it on there. Obviously, I can't show you guys how to do this because it's going to be different for every single option, and we would be here all day. But I can only imagine that it is pretty self-explanatory, and they are pretty quick with their email responses if you're on the free account. And as soon as you're paying, you can do chat support. So even worthwhile paying for 1 month just to have that option. So what's next after you do this? Basically, you're live. You can actually start selling things like immediately. One of the things I didn't talk about, I don't think, was just like how important it is just to get stuff up there, right? You might have really grand plans and a big fantasy for selling lots and lots of stuff, but the whole point is just to get things up, to get started. And as you add things to your store, you can start promoting them. You can even start promoting it by telling people you're slowly going to be adding things to your store. What I want to look at a little bit is just some of the other things that we skipped over. So when we go to catalog, we totally skipped over the category section. So for example, if you have a clothing store and you have, more than 20 products, you're probably going to start to want to set up categories, right? Like you could have a categories for men's, women's, or kids, or for shoes versus pants, or fancy clothes versus, casual clothes. So yeah, you could totally do that. You could have subcategories, all kinds of crazy stuff, which is awesome. I'm just looking at this here. So marketing is also important. So I know that I mentioned this on a slide coming up, but some of these aren't available because if you're on a free account, so you could start selling products on Facebook right away, which is amazing. This is basically just to sell with Facebook ads. But before we hop into that, you will want to promote your products as you add them to your online store, or upgrade to add your store to Facebook or Instagram, which is great. The other thing that's really important is to set up the email messages that go out after people purchase. So let's go down to, where was it again? Settings and then mail. Luckily, these are all automatically enabled. So essentially all you need to do is make sure they're still enabled, make sure that they're not accidentally not enabled, because you never know, it's technology. And change this here just to be your name. And that's it. So, or your store name. Store name might be easier. Just have to save changes, just because they won't know who Ecwid actually is. And if you change your website, if you upgrade and you have your own domain name, then you can this will actually say, yourdomainname.com. So yourstorename.com. These, unfortunately, you can't edit. You can preview them. In here, this actually is kind of an example of what people will get once they order. But as soon as you try to edit, you get this gobbledygook, which is not any fun at all. Which is fine. Again, keep it simple, right? Like as soon as you have all of these options to customize things, it can be distracting you. It can distract you from doing what it is that you actually want to be doing. You will want to email your list regularly. So I'm just going to show you how to set up marketing newsletters. Unfortunately, I realized I have an old account that I set up, 5 or 10 years ago. So it's grandfathered in. It automatically connects to MailChimp. So unfortunately, for those of you who have a free account, you are not going to connect to MailChimp with that free account. But you can export the names and email addresses of people who buy a product on your site and import them into MailChimp or whatever system you have. But let me just show you guys how that looks so that when you need to set it up, you know where that is. So you just go back into marketing newsletters. So let's go into marketing and then newsletters. And then you can connect with MailChimp. They have to give you a reason to pay, don't they, right? And that's basically it. It's really easy to set up. You literally just go to MailChimp, you grab your API, and you enter it into here. And unfortunately, you can't export either, but you can see all of your sales and you can see all of your people, all of your customers, and you can copy paste. Unless you're selling thousands a day, it's not the biggest deal in the world for you to enter in, a few email addresses, if you're really just need the free account. And then obviously just do a tiny little bit of SEO, right? So let's go to all sales channels again. Go down to websites. And we're going to click onto, so header meta tags and site verification is a handy thing to do. Just so that you're verified with Google. You would need to do this by going to Google, what is it called? Hold on a second. So you'll need to go to Google Search Console, which looks like this to set it up. And let's get those SEO settings set up as well. So you want to keep this on unless you really very much want to hide your store from anyone outside of Hamilton and only want people to be able to find you on social media or, from an email list that you might already have. Unfortunately, you can't set up a sitemap, but it's not the end of the world. You don't need one at this point. And like we were saying about this would be handy to have as well. But again, get your site set up and give it a few weeks and then worry about this and maybe even hire someone to help you out with that. And then Google Analytics is handy because with Google Analytics, you can see how much traffic is going to your website. So you can, if you don't have an account, you can create one for free just at Google Analytics. Sign up for an account. That's it. We're not going to take up your time doing that on this training. But again, just set that up by going down to settings and general and tracking and analytics up here in the top. And then you would just put your little Google Analytics code up there. If you're selling with Facebook, it's really handy to have a Facebook pixel, even if you're not selling with them yet. It's really handy to have a Pinterest tag if you want to sell on Pinterest and all of these other ones as well.